is one of my favorites. Best day ever. SpongeBob. Have you watched SpongeBob? It's the best day ever. Hi, I'm Kacee Pate. Thank you so much for joining us in our conversation of all things creative, otherwise known as ATC, if you're an abbreviation letter kind of person, ATC. And these are just conversations with friends. We are so excited today. I have my very good friend, Emmitt Savannah the third, because you actually are the third. And as my husband likes to call you, EA Sports, it's in the game, because that's just our house. We're gamers. I should say.
Yes.
We are grateful. We're grateful to have you into this conversation where we are talking all things creative, where we're going to talk about creativity. We're going to talk about building teams, what that looks like. And you are a perfect candidate for this show, not only because you're my friend, but you have your journey even to our church and on our team is a really awesome story. And so today's conversation is going to be centered around worship specifically, because you and I how many? Eight and a half, eight?
Yeah, almost 9 years.
Yeah.
Going on 9.
I think we're getting older, you know. That's a long time. That's a long time to be together. But
a decade.
Emmitt and I have worked together on a worship team setting as I was the worship leader and you were the music director. And so for years, and some of today's conversation, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the journey to that, about just how we grew and how you kind of came into that role, which the title of this first segment, if I was to title it, which I am titling it because that's what I'm doing right now, is jumping off the deep end. That's what I think about when I think about Emmitt Savannah's story. to come on the worship team, to come to our church. I'm going to set you up a little bit and I'm going to let you speak to this.
Sure.
So we met Emmitt, my husband, the lead pastor, Kacee Pate, met Emmitt on campus at U of H. And we were doing an outreach. We are a broader group of churches called Every Nation. And we do something on the campus, an outreach called the God Test, where you go and you just ask questions and have conversations with people on campus. And my husband met Emmitt on campus. And did the God Test with him, and that led into just a crazy storm of events where all of a sudden, after we barely knew you, and we kind of found out that you had a background and you could play the piano, it was like, hey, so do you want to be our music director? Because we had an opening, and the whole setup and story of that is cool. We'll get a little bit into that later. But from your perspective, because part of what we're talking about on this series, on these episodes, I'm not really sure still what we're calling. I think we're calling them episodes. But part of what we're doing on these episodes is talking about taking risk, talking about we're trying to create a culture of why not? Like, hey, why not? Like, hey, I may not even know how to really read sheet music yet, but why not? Hey, these people are crazy. I'm not really sure about them, but why not? I'm just going to take the dive, take the leap. So that is part of what we want to do on these episodes. And so I think really your story speaks to that, because it really speaks to that whole idea of just taking a leap off of the cliff and going into the deep end. And so why in the world did you trust us enough to go, I'm going to take the leap, let's do this?
Moments can change lives. And that moment that I met Pastor Chris on campus, I didn't know he was a pastor until after we had talked. I just thought he was a student because he looked so young. And
just thought he was like the coolest, freshest, most amazing, smooth, funny, hilarious. Are you hearing this, honey? Guy that you've ever met, right? That's all you thought.
That's one way to put it. But I felt like there was a connection that I had with him, and didn't know him. And so through that, I obviously found out about City Life, and they had a campus outreach there with one of the founding, or one of the founders of Every Nation, Rice Brooks. I heard him speak and just knew immediately there was something about this ministry that I just felt like God was just pushing me towards, and so it was impossible to ignore that. And again, I didn't know where that was going to lead, but I was like, well, I need to find out more about this. This is something that's tugging at my heartstrings here.
Yeah. And
so, started, heard about City Life, started coming around, and you guys found out I could play, and I remember sitting in y'all's home, going through the membership classes, and that's because we're in
our house at the time. Because what was that timeline wise? We moved in June of 2010, and we met you that fall.
So it was in, I think that time was that was October of 2010 when I met Pastor Chris. I think I was coming to the church by November-ish, and I joined in January of 2011. Okay. And that.
So we were at our house doing that in January
and then that's when he approached me about playing on the worship team, and I was just like, I just kind of froze because I wasn't looking at all for that. I was just more of like, I was just wanting to come and not do anything and just receive whatever the Lord wanted me to receive, and I wasn't looking to serve, and I was just completely done with just, everything else. I was just like, let me just be and not have to do anything. And that was where I was. And so when he asked me, just everything in me said no, but somehow yes came out of my mouth. And
amazing. How did that happen?
But if I had said no, I probably would have come back like, God won't let me sleep at night because I was supposed to say yes. It would have been one of those things.
I do believe that about you. I believe you actually would have lost sleep. I do.
I would have.
I do. Yeah. I also believe that if you would have said no originally, that we would have.
You probably would have kept
asking you. I feel like we probably wouldn't have let that go because we saw something there as well. So good thing you just said yes.
Yeah.
To begin with. Not losing sleep, not having the Pates hound you. Right. Let's just take the easy path and say yes.
So that's what I did. And it was scary. I was just like, what did I get myself into? What is happening here?
You've never led a team.
So, nope.
Yeah, you've never, a musical team.
No.
A band. What was your working knowledge of music at the time when you joined the team?
Oh my gosh.
I want you to, this will be so encouraging to some people out there.
Well, to answer your question, nothing. There was no musical theory, ability. I didn't know how to read music. I didn't know how to read chords. I just, for some reason, I just learned to start playing by ear because that's what I had grown up. Nobody had sat me down and said, this is note C, this is note D, these are how you form chords. And we
were shocked when we found out that you didn't really hardly know how to read music or anything because First of all, it needs to be said that there's just pure gifting and anointing in this man. Like if you've never heard him, this man is a gift. He is very anointed. And so we heard you tickling those ivories. And I mean, we were just shocked. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you're so great. And so we were able to look past some of the, again, if you would have said no, I have a feeling we would have pursued you because we just saw something in you from the very beginning. And I know when you tell the story of how this all happened, you would say that too. Like you would say, they saw something in me I didn't see in myself. We saw that potential there. I saw leadership on you. I saw the just how sharp that you are and just your just ability to, you're a very organized person. You love like systems and thinking in systems, and that's one of my favorite things about you because I am not like that. But it's those kinds of things that we saw that potential there. And so we started. And the reason we felt like this was such a God moment to, again, to kind of give some context to the story is we had just moved here. We just moved to Houston, and we had a team. We had a couple of people that were helping us lead worship on Sunday mornings. My husband and I had led worship together for years. And so Chris was very much actively doing that, and he was doing both leading worship and then preaching, which was a lot. Pretty sure we have some permanently damaged vocal cords. He kind of sounds like he's eternally in puberty because of damage probably that he did to his vocal cords during that time. Jeez. But it was, we had someone, and then there was just a circumstance that happened. Unfortunately, that person had to step down, and we had nobody. Yeah. There was nobody. And I can't remember the exact timeline, but I want to say like the week that happened, the week that person stepped down, we met you. Yeah. And it was just, God is so providential. He's so good at bringing you what you need when you need it. So that's definitely one of the encouragements out of this story is God will always provide, and that's been our story since. But now I want to kind of move into this next segment here, and that gives a little context. Yeah. And again, I wanted to bring you on here because I feel like that is so encouraging to other people out there who are maybe just starting teams and they're starting church plants, or they're doing things out there and the resources aren't there yet. And that, I think, is just, your story speaks to the fact that God will bring you who and what you need at the right time, at just the moment that you're going, I don't know what we're going to do. So there were those times. But in speaking to that, in the beginning days, we've gone through all different kinds of stages with our team, right? We started with hardly anybody. We've built a team up now. I would say we probably have a good, maybe close to 20 people on our worship team now, today, which is amazing to think about. God is so gracious in bringing us amazing, gifted people. But there were those days where there wasn't a lot going on, and we were trying to create a consistent experience week in and week out for people to be able to encounter God, because that's why we exist. And so I think that we have a working definition of excellence in our church. Excellence is one of our core values in our kind of belief system, where the things that we value, behaviors we value is what we call it. Excellence is one of them. And I think when some people think about excellence, you think, oh, it's just the most professional, the most expensive equipment, the most, we could just say the most. And really maybe the most isn't always equated with excellence, because let's all be honest, we know things that are the most that really aren't excellent. But if you think about in terms of resources and people, sometimes excellence is defined in that way. Our working definition of excellence at City Life is doing the best with what you have. And so there's this idea of, I'm at different seasons and stages of my life and of our team. So what defines excellence for me today? It's not realistic if I have a team of 5 people to think about being on a stage and having a full group of 30 people. So today, how do I define excellence with what's in front of me and doing the best that I can do? So excellence is a really big deal for you. And so I'd love for you to just speak to that, just kind of maybe share some examples of different levels of what that's looked like, of, okay, here's what's in front of me today. Maybe when we were first starting and, you were like tackling the beast known as Ableton, and now you just figured that out pretty much all on your own. But just the idea of what's in front of us and how that's changed over the years, but the value of excellence has not changed. Right. So share with us your great wisdom, Emmitt.
Well,
Excellent.
I mean, any person that's been in leadership for any length of time knows that the first or the most challenging person to lead is yourself, and that's where it starts. And so knowing where I was, I knew I had musical ability, but didn't have some of the comprehensive knowledge of as far as theory. So that was something that I looked at really first, and primarily like, I need to learn some of this theory so I know what I'm talking about, so I can talk the same language with musicians as we're trying to attract more and get more and bring up a level, of excellence. That was a value of ours. And so, there was a huge passion and just a drive behind that, and just things began to make sense as far as musical theory. And so that's kind of where that created a space for that. I created a space to learn and grow in that, and that has just really taken root and helped me, and just in the foundations of just all things music and technical things. Sure. And so having that was great because I knew it, and then it was easier to learn since I had a pretty good foundation from where it came from. So that was just kind of where I started, just practically speaking. And
did you do a lot of YouTube? Were you
YouTube was
were
involved?
you a YouTube guy?
YouTube,
Thank God for you. Right?
yes.
What did people do before YouTube existed? Because I feel like that's kind of the answer to almost everything of how. YouTube. I YouTubed it. Yeah, I figured it out on YouTube.
YouTube's very involved, and then even some of the chord charts you can print out the finger positions for the chords on the piano. Because like I said, I couldn't read chords, and I was just like, what the heck is that?
That you can do that now.
But yeah, so that's kind of where, that's where it started. And then, seeing where we were as a team, like we're just kind of got this skeleton crew of band or singers, and how do we attract that? Like, where do we want to be? What potential is out there? And, when you talk about just kind of what the purpose of a worship team is to create, basically the real just basics of that is just you creating an environment for people to worship. Yeah. Right. And so it's got to be free of distraction. It's got to be, free of missed chords. It's got to be free of, all these things that can cause a distraction, and so we want people that are competent, that are skillful, but also have a passionate heart for Jesus. Again, all that starts with us. Yeah. If we're there, if we're doing that as best as we can, then we're going to attract people through that, and then just through conversation, just through how we are, that people will sense that. And so that was a huge value of mine. Like I've got to live this, not just talk about it, but I have to live, be about it. Yeah. And so so learning other things that would help supplement what we're doing with our band. So Ableton was one of those things that came along that, a huge learning curve. We were like,
kept throwing things at you. You're like, thank you for this with my full-time job and my family.
But it was something that helped us be more cohesive as a band, or that would help us be, because we were still sometimes struggling with tempo and playing songs too fast or playing slow songs too slow, and I was like, we need something to help us. And that learning that program took a lot of work. But again, I saw it as this is something we value. It's a value of excellence that's going to help enhance that. For the people that come in to say, oh, what are they playing? Or no, like, but this sounds really good. And so it was almost an act to try to become invisible, to the point that we made God a lot more visible to them. Yes. It's like when you're watching a movie, you did that whole spiel, when you're watching a movie, you have the music, of a scene, and it just makes that scene much more grand, as opposed to just being silent or somebody coughing, in the background,
awkward.
Or whatever. It's that awkwardness that you want to eliminate to set that tone and create that space and amplify that moment and that experience. Like, this is and some movie scenes are singed in your brain. It's the same way when you come into worship. Like this, what we're saying, what we're doing, man, that interaction, that space where I met God is singed so much in my brain. I long for that, all the time. I want to be there. I want to commune with Him as much as I can. I long for Him. And so that yearning, we want to create that sense. And so whatever we can bring and do to create that atmosphere of excellence, man, let's do it. Because like Jesus gave the very best, His excellence. Amen. And so living out of that, thinking with that mind, I'll spend time learning what I need to learn to help enhance this moment and help people to see much more visibly than they were before. Sure. So.
And we like to say, I keep saying we like to say, we do like to say on the team that if we have done our job as the worship team, people end up not noticing us at all. Yeah. Because they are encountering Jesus. They are encountering the Spirit and the presence of God. So if we've done our job really well, you don't go, oh, I noticed that those guys are really cool, or they're wearing a cool outfit, or wow, look at what they did. No. Our job is we want to disappear. Yeah. But part of that is being excellent, because we have to prepare enough to not hit those wrong chords, or to not have the and things happen. Oh Lord, they happen, and we roll with that, and God's grace is in that. But if we can be prepared coming to the platform, then we can disappear, and that's really our job as a worship team, is to not be noticed. Even though it's a very visible platform, we don't want to be noticed. We want to disappear because we want people to see the greater thing that's happening here is, wow, the God of creation, the creator of the universe, the king of the universe is coming to be with us, and his presence is here with us. And so you start preaching, you make me want to preach. And so this is what I say to this. This originally
It's awesome.
started as a prop from the last episode. This is from my house. Nice. And then it ended up being a very valuable tool of giving you feedback. So I've just decided, if I feel the need, I'm just going to grab that. I'm going to give you a thumbs up. And I could do this with it, but I'm not going to do that with you, because everything that you're going to say is going to be gold. So I would never have the need to do that. But yes, excellence over time has evolved for us as a team. It's changed what it's looked like, but the core value of excellence has never changed. And you are one of the driving forces of that, behind that, which leads me into this next little segment that we're going to talk about, is being different people, and how we have worked together over the years to lead a team. And I can't talk about this enough, because I think there is so much value in having people around you that are different from you, that don't think like you, that don't act like you. I think there's just a lot of value in that, but sometimes we don't give the proper value to it, because we sit across from each other and go, gosh, I wish you could just think like this, like, right? Or why can't you just get it? Like, why don't you just understand what I'm trying to do here? Or why don't you understand this is important to me? And I think in the age of the Enneagram and all of the tests and everything, I think there's a lot of self-awareness that's come. But I think it's come for a good reason, because we do want to value this thing. And so I want to talk a little bit about the interaction between the two of us, because we, my friend, you and I, are very different. We're very, very different people. And thank you for being so gracious toward me over the years. I feel like I need to say that. Because let's just be honest, I'm a lot. I'm a lot. And you are being gracious.
I could say the same for you, because I know that's, it goes both ways.
You would say you've been a lot. I think, because I've heard that out of your mouth. And our definition of what a lot is looks very different. But oh my goodness, I could not have done what I've done without you over the years. And I think you would say the same. Like, it wouldn't have been the same if it wasn't me.
Right.
Because, Emmitt is the kind of person that will anchor something. You are a pillar. You carry so much responsibility. And so you create those values for people. You create the values of excellence. We're going to show up on time. I'm going to do this. And you lead by example. And you're a very focused person. I would use the word intense about you, and in a good way, not in a bad way. No, intense, like, we're scared of you, we're going to run away from Emmitt. But intense as you are, when you lock into something, you're locked in. And you've used that to lead the team. And our leadership is just very different styles. But because we work together and we're different, something that's been valuable to me, and then I'll let you maybe share something, is something that's valuable about Emmitt and the way Emmitt leads is Emmitt does provide that grounding, that anchoring for me. Emmitt is a detail person, thank God. As we've grown over the years, I attribute a lot of the consistency to you, because you've modeled that by example. I do this for a living. This is my job. But we did not say this earlier, but Emmitt, as a music director, has only done this part-time, which I think speaks to the fact that you need all kinds of people around you, and how it just makes life better, right? We're better together, and we're better when we're different and we don't all look the same. That speaks for diversity, that speaks for giftings, that speaks for all kinds of things. But how has putting up with my craziness over the years, how in the world would you say that has benefited you in being different from me?
Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the differences that we have, and surrounding people surrounding yourself with people that are different than you. And I think that is a fundamental key to accomplishing many types of goals, because if you try to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that think like you, that look like you, that act like you, everything, well, you just have a whole bunch of yous.
Yeah, and a lot of blind spots.
Right. And so it's just like there are going to be strengths that I have, and there's going to be weaknesses that I have. And somebody that has a strength in the area that I'm weak in is, it's going to help us have a more cohesive and just more effective process and approach to whatever that we're trying to accomplish. And so, for me, I know that I'm, yes, very much analytical. I think that there was a lot of grace, like learning how to extend grace. It was something I learned from you because I'm so analytical and detailed. I just, it's got to be this way, this way, this way, this way. And so having that, there also comes a sense of perfectionism in a sense, which could be sometimes to your help or to your detriment.
Sure.
And so when you are in that moment or just in that type of, thinking, it's hard to, or I say it's not hard to, but it can be easy to fall into a trap of not allowing room for just people to make mistakes, or when things don't go according to plan, there's just this angst that rises up. You don't want to deal. You have
give him angry eyes.
Yeah, there isn't you just aren't filled with a lot of grace in that moment. But being able to have somebody to interject that into that place and say, hey, it's okay. It's like, it actually is, but to somebody to kind of help you pull back and okay, here is the big picture, because I can get so narrow-minded and so just, tunnel vision and focused and just zeroed in and this is where I'm going. Don't steer me off course. Anybody that does come steer me off course, I don't have time for you, and that's,
ain't got time for that.
And that's not the Jesus way for sure. So I think sometimes in that approach of trying to be excellent, we have to be careful that we don't allow ourselves to be so focused that that is the end goal of I've got to make this as excellent as possible, that I lose the shepherding heart, I lose the gospel-centered heart, I take Jesus out of the equation, and now it is a task that I'm living after to say, by making this my goal, this is what's going to bring fulfillment in life. And you've completely taken Jesus out of the question. No, bring it back in there.
Bring it back.
He's the main reason. He's the end goal, right? And so, and so you, working, with you all the years has definitely helped me to know how to approach people better, and when things would just kind of get chaotic and I would just see the grace that you just walked in, I know it was probably just really hard, for you to do that, but man, I'm just my gosh, you just came in and just simmered it and just completely just broke through just that place of chaos, that place of confusion, that place of where people wanted to get frustrated. And it was just because I know if that had been me, it probably would have gone a different way. I probably would have said a few choice words to somebody or something, and it just would not have gone well.
Yeah.
And I think having that type of grace and just, saying, look, let's not forget the big picture, because that's what was always there for you. It is this, here's the big, and you have to have that.
Yeah.
But you also,
Jesus, full of grace and truth.
Yes.
We're learning about in the Book of John. Plug for the Book of John series right now.
Yeah.
Jesus was full of grace and truth. So we need both, because maybe one of those times I am being too gracious and I'm being too understanding and too nice. And maybe there's that time where you come in and it's hey, we need to confront this, because this is a pattern and we need to do that. And then there's times where I have been able to come into you. I would say maybe let's sum this up into one phrase. Maybe you help me sober up and I help you lighten up. How about that? How about that? Because there are those times where it's you know what? Let's just release this today. Let's just Let's just be in this moment and let God do what he's going to do, and then we'll deal with it later. And kind of maybe helped you get out of your head a little bit. But then there's times where you've pulled me into my head and when I needed to be. And so I love that. I wanted to specifically address that because when you're building a team, like you said, if it's all people that are just like you're going to have some gigantic blind spots. And you're not going to see that car come in that's going to come into what's the side? Never mind. I don't know the term of when someone hits you from the side. But because you didn't see them in your blind spot. So we need everyone and we need different giftings. And I just cannot stress that enough as you're building a team. And I love our story because I think we're a great example of that, of not just an idea of it, but here's how to actually work with someone that's different than you. Here's how to give a little, take a little, right? Here's how to come to the table with both of who we are and how we do things. And there's times where it's like, you take the lead on this because you're better at this. And there's times where I take the lead on this because I'm better at this. It's just this beautiful working dance, if you will. As a dancer, I always think in terms of dance, but it's very fluid. It's very moving. There's moving parts, but it's all working together. And so thank you for being in the dance with us on the worship team. Thank you for everything that you've brought to the table over the years. Again, we would not be where we are today without you. And so we really appreciate that. And I love our story for so many reasons, but I think it can just be encouraging to a lot of people on many different levels. So this is the great conversation. Great conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to ask you some questions. You're going to answer, simple as that. Number one, what is your favorite? This is a hard question for you. I already knew because you are a man who just appreciates food in general and just has a wide variety. But if you could narrow it down, what is your favorite food?
Steak.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's steak.
I knew it.
There it is.
Yeah. Did Chris text you?
He did.
From Longhorn Steakhouse. He's like,
yes.
Emmitt would appreciate this so much.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to text him and tell him we're having a steak.
Yeah, I was grilling steak at the time.
Were you?
I was at home.
Okay.
We had like 4 steaks on the grill.
Nice.
Ribeyes, T-bones. Yes.
Yeah.
The works.
And I bet you have it down. I mean, I bet you just have like your things that you like to do with the steak.
Yeah, definitely have found my signature move on the steak.
Ooh, well, I think it's about time for the Pates to come over so we can just see your signature move in many ways. I'd like to see many different kinds of signature moves from you. And then I'd like to see a signature dance move, a signature grill move, a signature seasoning move. I'd like to see all of the moves.
Well, I have them all.
Well, you've got them. I know. They're in there. They're in there. The world is waiting. The world is waiting. All right. So next question is, what is your favorite animal?
Oh, easy. A snake.
Yes. I feel like I know you so well right now because all these answers, like I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. And a snake is not a common answer.
And particularly the pythons. I like the python family.
You're a snake guy.
So not all snakes, but
I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of weird, but you are a snake guy.
Yeah. I used to have like 3 of them at one time.
You did?
I did.
You did, before you were married. And
well, when we got married, I had 1, and then when we got pregnant, I had 0.
You had 0. They said, "Ain't no snakes coming up in my house when I have some babies." Okay, listen, Alethea was like,
it was a tough decision. I was like, snake, baby, okay.
Oh yeah, I gotta say I'm with Alethea on that one. No snakes, no to the snakes. I love all animals.
But I'm going to get more. So once Alec maybe reaches his
You
next
probably have
birthday,
gotten the boys all into it, right?
So my wife was like, "You're not." And I was like,
"No, you're not."
So
So we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
That is the next chapter of the Savannah story to be told.
There it is.
Will you have a snake or will you not have a snake?
I will.
Let me answer that for you. I will. I'm going to pull my boss card and say, I'm going to have a snake. That's great. That's great. Okay, so if I got in your car right now and we're just driving, we're going to go for a little country hillside drive. What's going to be playing in your car? What are you listening to right now? What's giving you life right now? What do you love?
Well, so currently right now, I have smooth jazz playing.
Nice.
By Joe Carmouche. So a lot of old cats will know who I'm talking about. Sorry, younger generation, but anyway, he's not that old, but anyway. So he's playing, and then I've got some Bethel also playing. So I switch between
Great choice.
the two sometimes.
Switch between generations.
Yep. It is.
So, some would say about you, Emmitt, you are an old soul. I would be in the category of people that would say that about you, but in the best way, not in the negative connotations of being an old soul, but in all the great classic ways of being an old soul. You're wise for your years. We'll say that. That's how we're going to put that. You're wise for your years. All right. So if you had a day off, a night off, and you could do anything that you wanted, and money was not an issue or anything like that, what's your favorite fun? What's Emmitt going to go do for fun?
Currently, I love cruises.
Okay.
So
that's big fun.
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Might as well.
Right. Obviously, you got to plan that. But, I haven't done it in a while, but I really do enjoy horseback riding.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That. And so I've always been an outdoor kind of guy.
Yeah. You're a hunter also.
And I've hunted before, which is a lot of fun. But
I feel a little blindsided right now. I did not know that you liked horses and horseback riding.
Yeah, I used to do it.
You got me. You got me with that one, Emmitt. You got me.
I used to do it.
You need to come to Oklahoma
back in the day
with us and visit my parents and go ride horses. We have some great ones. We have
it catches
miniature
people
ones.
off guard. Like I remember going to some trails. They're like, "Do you know how to horseback?" Because they ask you, "Have you have any experience?" I was like, "Yeah."
Like I do.
And they're like, "Really?" I was like, "Yes."
Are you asking me if I actually do? Like, why would I make up that answer about knowing how to ride horses?
So anyway,
you are just full of surprises. I love it. I love it. All right, you're a Houstonian. You're like a legit one.
Yes.
You didn't transplant from Maryland
Born and raised.
or California. You are one of the few people, probably, and I'm trying to think of people on the show, maybe the only one that's a true resident Houstonian. What about our great city of Houston do you love? What's something you just love about Houston?
The food.
The food.
Variety of food, great food. So endless food, glorious food.
Maybe that might be everyone's answer. You can't go wrong with the food. You cannot go wrong with the food. Also, I want to do this to myself. Good job, self. Because with the exception of horseback riding, I knew every answer that you were going to say. So I feel like I know you. I feel like we've done some life together. Yeah. We've been in the trenches together of battle. Yep. So you get to know somebody, you get to know somebody in battle. You do. Yeah. There's something very, very real about that. Those were fantastic answers. I have a surprise for you. Okay. It doesn't require anything. You don't have to answer. But I thought when my friends come on the show, I want to do something fun. And because, I like to have fun. I think I'm a fun person. Maybe some people would not think that. I'm also a very avid, crazy coffee drinker, which again, we've established is just water. And just in case you're wondering and you were worried about me if this coffee was cold, it's not coffee. It's not real. It's not real. I wish it was, but then it would be cold. And I'm not into that right now. Like cold iced coffee, it's been sitting on the counter. Anyway, I digress. But for each of my friends, I wanted to find a special something that describes them to show like how just I appreciate you and just something for fun. So for all of my friends that come on these episodes, I have gotten a mug for each one. Nice. So let me tell you why I chose this mug for you, Emmitt. Mm-hmm. Because first of all, there's really not like any words on it. There's not like any, crazy. Like this is one of my favorites. Best day ever. SpongeBob. Have you watched SpongeBob? It's the best day ever. It's our favorite SpongeBob. Anyway, I like crazy mugs, but this mug is not. It's not flashy. There's no, it has like it's got a little flair to it because there's this color and edge. But this mug reminded me of you because it's like a substantial, solid mug. Like you look at this mug and it's like, it feels like a little dainty kind of, I look at this and I think this is rugged, it's substantial, it's strong. So this reminds me of you because You are one of the most dependable people I have ever met, and I have personally benefited from that. And so when I look at this mug, I think this mug could go through it and withstand it. And it doesn't have to be flashy or fancy, but it is absolutely essential to everyday life. And so this just like good old mug that just stands the test of time, that's more sturdy than like a normal mug, reminded me of you. So when you drink coffee from this mug, just think how the Pates think and know about you, that you are one of the most dependable people we have in our lives. And we love you for it. This is going home with you.
Wow.
It's not a prop. This is really going home with you. So there you go.
Well, thank you so much.
Well,
Appreciate
you're
that.
welcome.
Wow.
You're welcome. Okay, let's close this. Let's land this plane.
Sure.
Thank you for enduring with us, everyone, through this conversation. In closing, I want you to just, any kind of final encouragement or thought that you have for somebody that might be watching this, and maybe they're in your spot. Maybe they're a new music director. Maybe they're not even music directing, just a new position, or in a church where they're wanting to serve and use their gifts, or anything about what we've talked about whatsoever. Just any final thoughts or encouragements.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to really pull yourself out of yourself and out of your mind and past some of the insecurities and the fears that you may have, or the inadequacies that people think, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I don't have this training. I don't have this knowledge. I don't know about Ableton. I don't know the, you know, well, man, forget all that. Like if there's a passion, if God's called you to where you are in the position He's placed you in, He's going to equip you with what you need. And so therein, there's a faith in the Lord, and trusting in Him and trusting that process, because you know, it doesn't happen overnight. You don't go from 20 people in the audience to, you know, over almost 300 people on a Sunday. Like, it just doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
You know, God is growing something. He's having to chisel things off of you. So allow that process to happen. Allow God to do His work, and trust in Him, and learn from every moment that God gives you, because every opportunity is a moment to learn and to grow. And sometimes it doesn't feel good. But man, sometimes you're going to experience some incredible wins along the way. And like, celebrate those. Learn to celebrate the wins. Celebrate the small things. So first, it's leading yourself. Surround yourself with people that love and support you, and that will see that potential in you. Trust in the Lord. Trust His process. Yeah. You know, some of the technical things, you know, as far as the skills, I mean, that's going to come. That's going to be there. But what people cannot teach you is some of those things I just told you. You know, and having that support primarily is going to help you. And it's going to open the doors for those other things that will come along, technical things. And then, like, don't ever stop learning. Like, there's so many things out there, so many resources. There's YouTube, there, you know, all these things. There's iTunes there's a plethora of information and resources. You know, and I can give you two. So online, I really found this resource called Worship Team Coach, which is great. Guy gives all this free practical stuff, and just how to lead, how to MD, you know, all these different things and lessons. You can sign up for free webinars. So Worship Team Coach, I'm not endorsing or anything like that. I'm not getting paid to say this. I'm just saying, you know, if you want something practical, there's a resource there. And what was it? There was another one we do. What was that website?
Worship training.
Worshiptraining.com. Yeah,
maybe.
Worshiptraining.com. You know, those are like two practical. I mean, it's just chock full of stuff. Yeah. And I mean, there's all sorts of books out there, but you know, those are two good places to start, and I've seen those resources benefit me a lot.
That's great.
So again, just
it's great.
Leading yourself. Surrounding yourself with people that will love, support, and grow you, your faith and your trust in the Lord. So those foundations you need, and then just don't be afraid to stop learning. So because you won't ever stop learning, and
Very
just have grace upon yourself, grace with others, and enjoy that process. So that'd be my best encouragement to you.
I think that's a great encouragement. I think it's fantastic encouragement. I love that you threw out that practical. Go to this website. Maybe we should be endorsed. I mean, maybe I think we're endorsable. I think like, hey, give us stuff. We'll talk about it. Like, that's fine. I'm great with that. I'm so great with that. But that was wonderful encouragement. I would say to that as well, just in closing, that if you find yourself in a place where maybe you are lacking some of the resources or some of the people that you feel like you need or that you feel like you want to have to grow a team and to do what you feel like God has called you to do, I would say to you, today, do the best that you can possibly do with what you have. And you can bring that to God and you can be proud of that. You can say, God, I gave everything I could today, and it may not look like this, it may not look like that, it may not look like the dream in my heart, but today I gave the very best I could with what I had, with the people that are with me. And God, this is my offering to you. This is my sacrifice of worship to you. And also in the lack, in the maybe you don't have what you want, trust God. Because if you can take anything from our story, it's that if you will just trust him and do the best with what you have today in front of you, God will bring you the people. Emmitt is not the only story that we have, and maybe we'll tell some more of the stories of just when we thought we couldn't go anymore, just when we thought, oh, we'll have to abandon that dream. God brought the right people at the right time. Yeah. And so if you're struggling today, maybe, and you're feeling discouraged, I would say, hold on to that dream and trust God with it, because he's going to bring you the people and the resources you need to build your team, and also give you the creativity and the wisdom to use and just really take the maximize what you have in front of you today as well. So thank you, Emmitt. Thank you, our friends that are joining in our conversation today as we continue to talk about the culture of creativity, taking risks, and we want to say, why not? Go do something today that makes you go, hey, why not? Let's go do this. If I could have my way, I would say, why not just go over to Emmitt's house so he can make me one of his special steaks? So we'll see if that will or not happen. But yeah, why not? Why not? Cut!